Real men wear them.
Call this meeting to order, the Joplin Schools Board of Education, September 26th.
I guess. Okay.
So I looked over here and she was here. 2017. Roll call, please. Pat.
Lori Musser.
Here.
Jared Sander.
Present.
Lori, Jennifer Marchucci.
Here.
Jared Dermott.
Here.
Brent Jordan.
Present.
And Jeff Coe.
Present. Okay, can you all please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay. Any adjustments need to be made to the agenda? Not hearing any, I'd be happy to entertain a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
I'll move that we approve the agenda as presented.
I'll second.
So Sharon, motion. Derek, second. Please vote.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes. Okay, motion passes. So reports. First up, President's report, some celebrations. We do have a couple celebrations to share tonight. All right, go to the first one. We had a perfect ACT score recorded here a few weeks ago. Our own high school, Ian Miller, scored the perfect 36 on the ACT and was named a National Merit semifinalist for 2018. Scoring a composite score of 36 is something that less than 1/10 of 1% of ACT takers achieve nationwide. There's approximately 16,000 semifinalists in the 63rd Annual National Merit Scholarship Program. These academically talented high school seniors have the opportunity to continue to compete for some 7,500 National Merit Scholarships worth more than $32 million. So congratulations, Ian.
He was a Columbia Elementary child too on the staff.
Okay, there you go. All right, next up, the Joplin High School football team came to cheer on the runners. So the high school football players volunteered to be the spirit squad at the Big Red Shoe Run Saturday, September 16th. The players provided the runners and encouragement along the route, and at the finish line, the annual event raised money for Ronald McDonald's House in 4 states. There were 385 runners who participated, as well as 400 volunteers that donated 1,900 hours for the event. So it was a nice event, and that was one of the community service things that the team decided to do together. So that was nice to have them out supporting others in our community. So congratulations for them being an example. Thank you, guys. That's all I've got on celebrations. Next up, the policy committee.
I know, I was in attendance. We had 7 policies that we had discussed and will be advanced for the second reading, and we'll have those later tonight in the consent agenda. We had 9 policies for first review. We're only bringing 8 tonight. The committee had decided that we would give the middle school principals an opportunity to review one of those, and then we'll take a look at that again at our next meeting. So, and of course, that's in the regular agenda. So, anything else to add?
Thank you. All right, Superintendent's data report.
Okay, the first item is Dr. Saketa talking about a furniture donation.
Yes, could Ryan Walters and John Brown come up here from Hollis and Miller, please? As you know, Hollis and Miller is our architect for the project, and things have been working very well, and a lot of good communication between Hollis Miller and Crossan Construction and Joplin Schools and all the contractors and subcontractors, everybody involved. But they would like to talk about something that is going to be exciting to hear about tonight. So,
All right, welcome, gentlemen.
Okay. Well, we just wanted to kind of give you an update. I mean, this actually started in spring of last year. We have what we call an innovation day at our office, and myself and another one of our interior designers got together, and we were talking about how can we be innovative with our clients in giving back as part of a giving back program. And so we came up with an idea, at least because we knew what was going on, and we knew that the grant money didn't allow for movable furniture. Everything had to be fixed. And so we decided that could there be a way that we could give back to our clients and give back to the community through our connections and through things that we do. And so we were in the process of moving our office to a new office, and we've had a lot of good furniture that wasn't going to fit in our new spaces because we were going down small. So we had the early childhood folks come up to Kansas City and went through both of our office, and we showed them all the spaces that we had in the building at where things would work, and they picked all the pieces they wanted. And I think it brought 2 trucks. I think it was 2 trucks came up and took the furniture. And it was probably, if it was brand new furniture, it probably was a value of about maybe $25,000 in furniture.
That's wonderful.
And so, but there was more furniture that we wanted to do, and you could just kind of all go through. So, in different departments, so we just took some pictures that's of different desks of furniture that will fill out the administration department. As we get into daycare, so I have a connection. So Amy Yurko is a education planner, international education planner. She worked with us after the tornado and helped us with those projects. She actually was early on in this project, providing some educational components in that. Well, her and I have, with our connection, we met a gentleman in Florida who sells furniture, and so I called Bill, who I know real well, and he led me to another gentleman, and his name is Mark from Paragon, and he's out of Dallas, Texas, and he said, well, I love to help people when they need help, so he volunteered to help. So I gave him a list of every piece of furniture that still needed to be in the building, and so he's working on that right now, and he was going to have it ready for tonight, but the kind of guy he is, he actually is helping the Houston School District after the floods there, so he's down there trying to donate and his friend who had lost some of his building in Irma, because he's in Florida,
Right.
so he's helping both of them, so he didn't get his list to me, but we're going to have a list. So we think we're going to get hopefully the small tables for the areas in the children areas, all the furniture for the teacher's lounge, and maybe these are some of the tables that we were donating and stuff to the furniture. If you go, I think a couple more slides. So right there, that slide, all the white desks or white tables that you see there is in the kitchen eating area, so we may get all of that donated as well. So we just wanted to kind of just let you know that there are people out there that care about
That's great.
more than just the project and what the project is, and that's something that, as a firm in our culture, that we're looking at innovative ways to be able to give back. And so through different networks that we have with different clients, we can turn around and provide those services back to you. So
Well,
that's all.
Thank you.
On behalf of the Joplin School Board, we want to thank Hollis Miller for the continued partnership. I mean, this is not the first time that we've crossed paths, but hopefully it's not the last as well. And we appreciate that. Send our regards to Bill and Mark and all those folks. I know when it comes to emergencies and disasters, we may not be at the top of the list today, but
Right.
maybe we're helping somebody tomorrow. So we appreciate the kindness you've shared. So thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Wow.
That's a huge donation.
Yeah, yeah. Excellent. Next up, Project Lead the Way.
Yes, we have our Franklin Tech Center staff, and we have Dave Rockers, Director of the Tech Center, Deanna Anderson, Project Lead the Way Engineering Instructor, Jay Reed, Project Lead the Way Biomedical Science Instructor, Elijah Ventura, Engineering Student, Savannah Huff, Biomedical Student, and Casey Dorton, Franklin Tech Center Special Services Coordinator. And they're going to tell us about services at Franklin Tech Center and Project Lead the Way.
I'll make a real brief introduction, and then I'll get out of their way and let them have at it. Project Lead the Way is a program that we really started following the tornado. It's something we've been looking at before. In the United States, it was really formed in the northeast part of the country, a shortage of engineers. Companies were looking at where we're going to get our engineers. We need to grow our own. And that's really what started Project Lead the Way. And over time, it's developed a lot of neat programs. And over the years, DESE has made some opportunities for funding that have made it much more affordable for us. You know, it's been around about 20 years, but initially, it was a program that was difficult to start. It's a high-end program for a lot of students and gives them a lot of opportunities. And I'm going to turn it over. Casey Dorton is our Vocational Special Services Coordinator at Franklin Tech. This is kind of a unique program as we kind of oversee it, but it's really, currently it's strictly Joplin High School students. But we have looked at it as developing it in a way that at some point in time we may take a look at it with some of our sending schools as well. And so without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Casey, and it's all yours. Move into the mic chair.
The big chair, yeah.
Appreciate that. So like Dave said, it's a combination. We have all Joplin High School students, but we have Franklin Tech staff, two of our Franklin Tech teachers. One of them teaches, which is Deanna, she teaches the engineering class, and then Edie Harrison teaches one of our biomed classes. So it's really a combination of staff also, which is it's kind of nice that our kids kind of get a piece of both worlds, per se, on the tech end too. Like Dave said, I think we started in 2013, we received a Bemis grant for $35,000. So that was over 3 years, so that was to help us get the program started. So over time, we've just grown. Part of that grant was we were to add a program every year. We were able to sometimes add 2 programs a year in that. We were able to also add on the biomed program, which was really a great thing for our school. There's a lot of students interested in the medical field, and now with the medical school here in town, it's a great opportunity for our students to get a head start. 2016, February, we received our national certification, which was kind of a strenuous process of interviews and things, so that was a big celebration for us. I think a big stress reliever to have that done. That does come up every few years, so we're getting close again to getting to go through that again, which is a good thing for us too. Last year in May, Ms. Anderson graduated her first 2 students that completed all 4 years of the engineering program. And then this year will be our first group of students completing the biomed program. So career paths that these kids are going to be involved in, I'm not going to steal too much because we have 2 students here. They're going to kind of talk about what they want to do, the impact on them. But I read some papers that some kids wrote for me, and it was like the impact that it's made on them is they've learned how to be self-led learners. They've learned the information, but they've taken that and they've had to go a step further. They've had to research and educate themselves on top of what they've learned in class. There's also sometimes you get to the point where there's not always a right answer. There's multiple right answers. So it's taught these kids to think outside of the box, which is what we need for them to be successful in their future. So we're really excited about that. Students served, right now in engineering, we're serving 83 students, and in biomed, we're serving 111. We'd really like to see that number grow. Right now, with as many sections as we have, starting out, that's about where we can be. So, let's see. So, like I said, the programs we have at Joplin are engineering, which is a 9 through 12, and the biomedical science, which is also 9 through 12. Also available through PLTW, they have the Launch program, which is a K through 5 program, and Gateway, which is for middle schools. They also have computer science, which is also a high school program. So those are other options that we could look at as our school in the future if we thought we wanted to grow our PLTW program. And there's usually grants for the computer science field through Verizon and different companies that try to get that field to grow also. Okay. I'll start with this and then Deanna can go on. Courses offered in the engineering field, those are our introductory courses. We have 1 specialization course right now and then the capstone course. I guess, did I put that later? Okay, I'll let Deanna go. You ready?
So some of the things that students learn in this program is not just to answer a quiz or a test. They really do learn to be self-learners. They learn to be thinking outside the box, and they learn all about the engineering design process. So in the first class, which is IED, they learn about what is the engineering design process and how would I begin with that. They learn about how to communicate their ideas. They learn some of the software that they'll be using throughout the entire 4 years. They learn professional skills, and then they learn about what does it take to be an engineer. So all of this incorporates actual careers discovery as they go through this. So it's not just learning this is what it is to do in engineering. They learn about the different careers that are available to them as well.
This is a project that they work on in the intro class, so they use Inventor on this. Most of the programs they use are in the AutoCAD suite. So this would be a 3D modeling software that allows them to go in there and create the parts and then mold them together. They could then go ahead and 3D print those. They have the capacity to do that. Principles of engineering, I know less about. I know Mr. Gurley teaches it, and he teaches all about the principles, so I'll let Eli speak to that because he's been in there. But he teaches those mechanical pieces that they have to have in order to come back then into my next class, which is civil engineering and architecture. We teach two different types of architecture, both residential and commercial. So they have two projects in both. They learn the software of Revit. Revit is what they use in there. These softwares are not easy softwares. They are very time intensive to learn. They're extremely demanding, so they're learning not only architecture, but the software as well. One of the things they do is build a house that they do research on. We do a commercial project. All those commercial projects are done in teams. So residential is primarily single, the commercial then are all in teams. This is an example. They have parameters that they have to fit into. The students also have to identify a client and interview the client and actually design the house to meet not only the parameters given to them, but the desires of the client as well. This really opens them up as far as being able to talk to adults, which is a good thing. And then really having to negotiate, all right, so this is what the parameters say, but this is what you want. They don't really collide here. How are we going to make this work? This is the big project that they work on. This is the one they work on in teams. And so they do everything from design an existing building that's gutted. They redesign everything. They can add stuff to it. They do the parking lot. They do the land. They do the entire thing as a team. So this is one of the designs that they could have created. And the fourth project, they get to actually identify a commercial entity, design not only what's going on there, but also what's the purpose of it, what's the use of it. Again, they get to talk to architects, they review in front of architects, they present in front of architects, which is very stressful for them, but very good for them. Capstone course then is the final course, and this is where they get to take that engineering design process that they've really spent a great deal of time with, and they get to self-manage their project. So they are in teams that they choose. They decide the need that they're going to fulfill. They do all the research for that. They work through the entire process and document along the way. Through every one of these courses, they're writing intensive, so they have engineering notebooks, like you see this young man's right here, and he'll show that to you. But they document their process, they document their designs, they're learning tons of things, and then these are reviewed by engineers. So we invite engineers in and they present to them and the engineers critique them. This is last year's project. They wanted a solar bottle, and so they have a problem statement up there. Every design starts with a problem statement. That takes us a while to craft that down, truly. But what they found out is that their solar bottle wasn't going to work because it didn't have enough surface area. And so they came up with a bottle that they actually created, with a little help from their friends, that would charge a battery, which was what they were wanting to use to charge their phone. Things that we could offer that we don't are digital electronics, computer integrated manufacturing, computer science principles, and then environmental sustainability. So those are other specializations that we could offer.
Thank you. For the biomedical sciences, again, this is our 4th year that we've been doing it. So our first group that went through as a freshman, they are seniors this year, and they will be doing the capstone, and we're really excited to see them be successful at this point in time. The first class that they offer up there is Principles of Intro to Biomedical Science, and during this class, they put up there, they have an entire year that they have to research. It starts off basically day one, they starts off with there's been a death, and they have to research all the problems or all the possibilities that could have caused the death of this person. and they research and find out about diabetes. In fact, many times I think I've heard that we cover diabetes a little too much in this, but they learn a lot about that. They also learn about, sickle cell and some heart diseases that would come along with this, as well as the fact that they're learning about scientific method and different things that we need to do at that point in time. When they're successful in that, then they can move to my class, which basically is the human body systems, and we will dissect a lot in there. What I found exciting about this class is it's not like a normal classroom where I go in and lecture and test. This is more of a hands-on. I mean, we did a lot of activities. We go in the lab and we do a lot of different things, and it's more student-driven. They're doing their own research. They're finding their own things. And as a teacher, it was hard for me to change. But now that I've made the change to this, I really enjoy it. And I really enjoy watching the kids come live and figure out what's going on. So we go through all the different systems in mine. In my class, it's a little bit different. It's just covering the systems, making sure they understand it from a different approach. When they get to the third year class, the medical interventions, I believe they have to follow a family through the entire year. They're following a family, looking at the genetics of the family, trying to find out what diseases are in the family and what could have caused problems and how they can pass those genes down to other people. They talk about pathogens, and they make what they call a super bug and in that class. And so they do, once again, they're doing lots of hands-on activities, and I think the kids enjoy that quite a bit. The fourth year class, medical innovations, still learning a little bit about this, but the first little thing that they're doing is they're going to have to design an emergency room. And we're working right now, I think it's with Mercy, to try to get the kids out there to look at their emergency room. They're going to go in there and they're going to study the emergency room, spend the day out there, and then they have to come back and they have to figure out how to design an emergency room that is effective and so forth. This class is a lot of research. They're going to be doing a lot of research about different little things that are up there, as well as they will I think what they call them are missions. They have little missions that they then have to go out, and like I said, the first one's that they have to do the emergency room and prepare that. So that's kind of the biomedical side of what we're doing, and again, we're really excited because our first group of kids are going to be graduating this year, and I think that that class has I think it's eight kids in it that have started it and have stayed with it all the way through, and so we're really excited about that. So that kind of takes care of my end of it. Which kid do you want to talk first?
Savannah, you can go first.
Okay, I'm Savannah Huff. I've been in Project Lead the Way for 4 years now, and I really enjoy it. I think it's an awesome class to take because of how much I've learned and how different it is from every other class. For example, I've learned so much about diabetes, which is one of the leading causes of death in America. It's the most common illness that people have. We've done so many experiments and dissections. We dissected cow eyes and livers and a heart and sheep brain, and it was really cool to see all of that. Also, we simulated a rabbit muscle with ATP, and so it was disconnected from the rabbit and had been for a long time, and then under a microscope we could put this chemical on it and it would move and contract, which was really cool to see. This year, we're doing the emergency room right now, and I'm really excited to go see the one at Mercy. We've had a lot of healthcare professionals come in, we've had a nurse, and we're about to have an OBGYN come in. So it's so interesting to see all of the different, because we have career journals, so we write a paper about all sorts of different careers in the medical field. We've had to do anything from a blood splatter analysis to a neurosurgeon. So it's really interesting to see all of the different kinds of careers that I could have in the medical field, and it's really prepared me for, I think, college and medical school.
I would say that PLTW engineering over the past 3 years has really had an impact on my career outlook and my outlook at engineering. Over the 3 years, we've done anything from drawings to designing different types of mechanical devices. And it's not only that I've learned many principles of engineering design and mechanics, but I've also learned many valuable teamwork skills. Each year, we've always done team projects with at least 2 other people in them. it's always been one person is maybe doing the drawing and the other person is doing something else, but we've always established team roles and team responsibilities, and it's just been a really good thing to take because it's prepared me for engineering in the future, and it's also shown me many teamwork skills. And at the same time, it's a very, very fun course. I've really liked all of the classes in PLTW. I think they're really interesting. Everything we do in there is pretty fun, I'd say. Maybe sometimes it might get a little hard, but I'd still say it's a great thing to have because we have all these different things we can do, and there's many hands-on projects that really show us different things in engineering that really help us get a feel for what engineering might be in the future.
And Eli, what are your plans when you get out of school?
I plan to go to college for mechanical engineering. Maybe not 100% sure on that, but mechanical engineering or electrical engineering. So.
Do you have a top 3 list? Yeah.
Oh, for colleges?
Of colleges?
Oh, yeah. I've been looking at University of Tulsa, Missouri, University of Science and Technology, and University of Arkansas.
Okay. Very nice.
Stay
Savannah?
close to home.
And Savannah, what are your plans?
My plans, I want to go to Arkansas. I've already been accepted, so that's a relief. And after 4 years, I'm going to go to the Little Rock Medical School and hopefully become either an orthopedic surgeon or a neurosurgeon. So I'm not really sure yet.
Congratulations, Steve.
One of the things we really like about the program too, in the state of Missouri, it's tied really closely with RALA, and the instructors go for training, and when an instructor is going to take one of the classes, and I remember when I was talking to Jay about the human body systems, I kind of had to twist his arm a little bit.
Yes.
And probably hit him up a couple times before I got him. But the thing that was neat for me as a director was when he got back, he came into my office during the summer just to thank me for sending him because of the type of training. And I had heard that from other teachers in other districts, and it was neat to experience that. The students can get some dual credit through RALA if they choose to go there. One of the things that's kind of neat about this one as opposed to others is they don't have to pay for it up front. They can pay for it at the end, or they can wait and see. My oldest daughter went through the biomed program at Carthage, and she's going to school at Missouri State. And her second year, she found out, well, I can go ahead and pay for one of those courses that I took through Project Lead the Way, and it's going to get me a step closer towards finishing up. And so she was able to do it 2 years after the fact, which is pretty unique. So a neat opportunity for students that way. Like I said, it's been around for about 20 years. I think Carthage was probably the first school in the state of Missouri to start it. That has really expanded, and we're meeting the needs of a lot of students with this. And with the Franklin Tech programs we have in the past in the health areas, CNA, we have diversified health doc, and then we have an intro class. We would see, if we were full, we were probably going to see maybe 50 kids in the 2 senior level courses, and the students have to be able to block out a half a day for that year to be able to do that. But one of the really good things about Project Lead the Way is it's 1 course a year. A lot of the students that are planning to go on have room for that in their schedule, whereas a lot of the times students are interested in med school, their academic load is such that they just don't have time to take a 3-hour block course. And so that's one of the things neat about the Project Lead the Way is they can take 1 course a year and it's really building towards something. So we've been excited to see where it's going and look at great things about it.
Well, I would say I was asked to take part in I don't know if it was the certification or part of Project Lead the Way. Was it last year when my daughter took part, and she was in Deanna's class, and she, her dream school was Syracuse, which is ranked 3rd in the nation for architecture. They had 1,000 applicants, and they only accepted 120 students, and my daughter was one of them. And she went through Deanna's program, and so she'll get to study in Greece or in Italy for a semester, because that's where Syracuse sends their students. And it's amazing. And she went through that program, and she was part of the leadership program and stuff. And so it's a great program, and it offers, kids really go to that next level with what you guys are sending them off with. So I for one, as a parent, appreciate it, because my daughter is that far ahead, and so I'm proud that she took part of that. So good luck. You can go very far with that. So good job.
Congratulations. I mean, it's nice to see some people hit the finish line. Yes.
Yes. Finally, finally.
And guys, this isn't the finish line for you, but congratulations on helping get the program get off the ground. Because I know always the first group of cohorts kind of have to feel the way, and maybe they don't get the smooth experience that you're going to give to everybody that comes behind you. But congratulations for leading the way.
Good job,
All right,
guys.
thank you.
Thank you. It's a great program.
You ready, Dr. Langford?
I am. Basically, you have the information that's been provided in advance. It's pretty well self-explanatory as far as the health fund and dental care reports are concerned. As you'll notice, the outflow did exceed the inflow in that past month by $13,000, but that's not unusual as people are winding down the end of a year and using deductibles, and some people actually defer some elective medical things till the summertime. So overall, that's not alarming, and of course, the dental care plan continues to be very, very strong. We do plan to update that $1,050,000. That's sort of what the outstanding bills were a year ago, and we will get the update ones as this year close out going forward. But the health fund right now is better off than it was 2 years ago when you were dealing with it.
All right. Any questions on that one? Thank you.
And then on the financial statement, again, you have a single page that gives you the comparison data. It appears to me, in looking through the bills, that most of the bills were related to the normal expenditures of supplies and items that were bought relative to the upcoming school year. It's pretty normal. The only bigger bill was the payment of the interest on the district bond payments, and so interest is paid. Then you'll see that again probably in February, because for the payment in March, which will be bigger because it'll be interest plus principal, and you like the principal payment because that reduces your outstanding debt. But if you just do the comparison based on the sheets we will be giving you each month going forward, there's nothing alarming on there relative to deficiencies in revenue or excesses in expenditures.
I like having a single page summary, so appreciate the effort you put into getting that. And
Well,
kind of
we got a lot of
dashboard.
help. Susan puts the numbers in, but to me, I will be honest, it was very difficult going through all those pages, and the whole idea, and then if, you always get all the information that you did.
Yeah.
But this really helps bring it home to
Yeah.
what we're doing.
Otherwise, it's 119 pages of one line item at a time.
Yes.
So, but no, thank you. All right. Any questions there? No, thank you. Okay, thank you, guys. Next up, we've got public comments. Jim West. Jim, we've got a podium up here, and our policy says I've got to read you your rights here. So to provide for the communication between the public and the Board of Education, Board authorizes a designated time will be set aside for public comments at a regular board meeting. So when you approach the standing microphone, please give your name and address. Please do not identify any district personnel or student by name or by any other identifiable information. And you've got 3 minutes, and the floor is yours.
Thank you. President Cole, Superintendent Dr. Moss, members of the Joplin RA school staff and board. My name is Jim West. I'm president of the Joplin branch of the NAACP. My reason for being here is short and sweet. I'll be brief. I come to ask you to consider naming your early childhood center after Melissa L. Cuther. Mrs. Cuther is a pioneer from way back of child history. Mrs. Cuther developed many programs back in the days in the 40s and 50s. Ms. Cuther was very instrumental in getting Lincoln School to be accredited. Once Lincoln School got accredited back in the 40s and 50s, then the Joplin R8 district came in to take Lincoln School under their umbrella. And by the way, I am a product of Lincoln School. I attended Lincoln School until 1955. Mrs. Cuther has done many, many things for the early childhood growing up. Ms. Cuther helped develop the George Washington Carver Nursery School that was in Ewart Park. This was the first early childhood school for kids to attend school. And yes, yours truly did attend Carver Nursery School. So I'm very familiar, and Ms. Cuther's teaching ability is reared off on me somewhat to be. Ms. Cuther helped develop the George Washington Carver Marching Bugle Corps for the kids in school. Also very instrumental in the George Washington Carver Monument. Everybody knows about this. This is one of our best state parks we have in the area. Like I said, I'll be brief, but I just wanted to ask you to consider Mrs. Melissa L. Cuther's name on the outside of the Early Childhood Center out there on Maiden Lane. But I think Mrs. Cuther is a well-respected, needed person. Her name to be recognized at this building. And in conclusion, I'm going to read something we all have read before, but it's a statement Mrs. Cuther said. And basically it says, there are so many beautiful opportunities to help make the world a better place in which we all can live in. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your time, and please consider our request. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Hey, Jim, can you leave your statement there, your note from her, or your quote?
Yes.
It might be something that's interesting for us as we go forward. No, that's good.
It's here.
Thank you.
Good to see you. Thank you. There you go. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Next up, the consent agenda. I'd be happy to entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll move that we approve the agenda as presented.
Motion by Brent,
I'll second.
second by Derek.
I just have a quick question,
Yes.
probably for Carrie. Because I would guess this comes from you. On the non-resident tuition, what we're charging, is that equal to what it costs us for students? I was looking at it, I was trying to figure out, or is that, Dr. Lane?
It is. I worked with Susan on calculating that, and really, we took a look at the method that had been used in the past, and actually, some expenses had been backed out that really should have been included, and only the federal part backed out, so forth. And it's more than we did last year, but we have, our goal is that be the calculated current cost, as you will find eventually on the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education when they list all school districts. So that is the cost of educating a child in this district for operational purposes, minus the things you have to back out, federal funding and things like that.
Okay, terrific. So I just wanted to make sure. I was reading through that. I thought that was the case, but I just wanted to make sure.
And I'd like to remove the legacy photography contract just for a brief comment, to remove it from the consent agenda.
All right, let's see. So, Brent, would you approve that amendment to your motion?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. So, with that amendment, it's everything but the legacy. Please vote.
Yes.
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 Yes?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, that motion passes. Now that leaves the legacy item.
Yeah, I just had a comment on that. The
Uh-huh.
last paragraph of that agreement is an indemnification clause. And, you know, in this day and age with all the things that go in photography, I'm not sure what the school district would be indemnifying legacy for. I would ask that it be stricken from the contract, but you want me to read it, or?
No, I'm looking at it myself, and so this is for senior pictures?
Yeah, I mean, it's not a big deal. There's no money involved in this
Right.
contract. They will be paid from students who have their pictures paid for. This is not a money issue, but that last paragraph, when I read it, I just thought, it's pretty harmless, frankly, but then I thought, you know, there's a lot of things that go on today with photographs, and I just thought, I don't really
Yeah.
want the Joplin
Yeah.
School District
If somebody loses a
indemnifying.
photograph and.
I just don't know. I
You
mean,
don't know what liability you're.
I'm overarchingly conservative about that. I apologize. I don't mean to be.
Well, and I will say, we all bring our different strengths, and maybe the law is the strength you bring, so
Well,
if you make a motion, I would be
Well,
happy to entertain.
Yeah, I mean, there are certain things I probably would indemnify them for. I'm sure that they may be concerned about making images of minors and things like that. I get it, but I just, that's a very broad indemnification clause, and so for that reason, I'd ask that the last paragraph be stricken from the agreement as currently written.
Well, and I'll tell you, I got an email from Mary Crane, who is the yearbook sponsor, and to kind of give me some background on why we're doing this. We normally don't do a contract for those, but I guess last year, the photographer, or maybe it was this year, over the summer, the yearbook needs the photographs by a certain date, so they scheduled all the seniors in to do it. And the person that was supposed to do it was awarded the whatever, backed out at the last minute. And so the reason they want this contract is to make sure that they won't back out and the yearbook will be able to get the photos. So that's sort of the background just behind the contract.
And
So
you
if
all
there
aren't
was an
going to offend
issue
me
with
if you
it-
oppose it. I just want I just want to go on record that bothered me a little bit. I thought that if we went back, I'm sure they're very good people, and my thought was they might tighten it up a little bit if we went back to them. But
So,
that's what I would ask, and you.
so why don't you make a motion
I
that we
have
table
moved.
it?
Yeah, I'll
And
second.
we send
Well,
it back for
Well,
review, or you want to approve it?
When are
right now?
those photos scheduled? Is that later this week?
I think they're,
Very soon.
yeah.
I hope that I'm not causing a problem with the picture taking. Maybe I am. So I'm getting a bad
Well,
look
and
from
like I said,
Dr.
I think
Moss.
the contract
No,
was
no.
just sort of
I am
to
not
make sure
gonna
that
argue with the
that
attorney.
we would, that they wouldn't back out on us, I think was the main purpose. So maybe
Yeah.
this is just their
I
basic
find it hard to believe
contract,
that particular paragraph is going to make or break the agreement.
and I doubt it
I don't know.
would.
So with that, you were saying what? Would you like to make that in the form of a mo?
I
like
made,
Jeopardy?
my motion is that we would strike the last paragraph of the
Okay, and I'll
agreement.
second that. Any discussion? Please
Do we
vote.
just, well,
Yeah.
who goes back to them?
Well,
And
Who's up on this list, does it say?
we just need to
Yep,
make
so
sure
if it's the
that-
high school, it's, I would assume that Dr. Eggleston would have contact.
yeah, because there's.
Is this
no one
going to
on
cause
this
an
one.
issue
Yeah.
in delaying pictures or?
Yeah, because we don't want to do that. As long as we're good with that, then, yeah.
Okay,
We'll check.
all right.
Okay,
So there's a motion and a second. Please vote.
yes.
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 Yes, that motion passes. And in the chance that Legacy Photo is watching tonight, one of our 7 viewers, call
No
us.
offense intended.
Call us. We just want to make sure everything's covered. Thank you. Okay, next regular agenda item, renewal of prescription benefits. Ashley.
Yes, Carol from Healthcare Solutions Group is here this evening to help with this item. Before you, you have a recommendation to approve a 1-year contract with MedTrack for prescription benefits. This recommendation will result in a potential cost savings of approximately $223,000, or 15.37% above our current. That is due to average wholesale price, dispensing fees, and rebates. In addition, the recommendation includes an education piece for diabetics, and it also includes a shifting of fills of 10 different prescriptions to a lesser cost over-the-counter alternative. Do you have any questions for Carol or myself?
Does it change any of the co-pays for our members? Okay, so they have no change. We save money. Any other questions?
I have a question. We have a committee, the benefits committee, but this didn't go through that committee. That's usually how these recommendations come to the board. So why did this not go through that committee?
I was not here. The last time, from what I understand, we've kind of been operating under good faith with MedTrack. An agreement was not signed last year, and it is time to actually engage in a renewal process for that. And so we're actually continuing as is with a vendor that we have a current relationship. There was a 3-year option provided to, we chose 1 year because we'll be going out to bid this next year for services. But the reason why this is being handled and not going through the healthcare committee, I do not have a good answer for.
Okay. But it's not changing providers?
It's not.
Okay.
Mhm.
But still, I mean, it's a recommendation to us to continue.
Yep.
That's sort of why we have the committee,
I agree.
isn't it? I mean, we've
and-
sent things back to say, let the committee, this sort of seems like a top-down thing, which is what we've tried to get away from by having those committees.
Yeah, no.
So,
As
that's my input.
things come up that strike the finance and benefits and salaries, I'm sure Dr. Langford will let us know if there's something that committee can chime in on and needs to give their input as we're building the budget for next year.
I mean, and I appreciate that we're saving money. I mean, it doesn't have anything to do with that. We've tried to make a practice of getting input from the different people who are affected by this. I mean, I know I'm on that committee, but I'm not affected by it, but we kind of thought that was the purpose of the committee, so.
And so I will do some checking on that and also talk to the committee this year with regards to what they want their focus to be. It's my understanding that last year the focus was strictly medical, and Dr. Langford may have some more feedback.
Which I did not typically meet with that committee, but there were some items that came up, and the committee's position was we only want to deal with the major medical part. And that has to do with the voluntary program specifically. You know, they really didn't want to get involved in that. And so that's secondhand information of the feedback that I got.
And I make a motion that we accept the proposed 1-year contract renewal with MedTrack effective October 1st, 2017, with a notation of Jennifer's concern that any matters relating to healthcare be brought before the healthcare committee in a timely fashion so y'all can discuss them for future purposes.
And I know that our contract with our provider will be coming up this year.
Yep.
That's something that we're going to be reviewing, so.
So.
I'll second that.
Okay, Brent will second it. So motion by Sherrick, second by Brent. Any other discussion? Please vote.
No.
I'll
Strictly
abstain.
for that reason.
Yes.
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 Yes. Okay, that motion passes. Thank you. Next up, prime contract.
Okay, Ryan Walters and Dave Pettit are going to come up and talk about the Early Childhood Center and a few changes we would like to see approved.
First of all, Aaron, who's usually with us from Crossland, was called away to a family emergency and sends his regrets that he's not able to be here.
Completely unacceptable.
So he was very apologetic that it came up last minute. Had the great pleasure of course, escorting you all through the building a couple of weeks ago. Had the same great pleasure yesterday of walking our early childhood staff through the building. It's been a few months since they've been there, and they were giddy schoolgirls as they were beginning the playground fight over who gets what room. But they enjoyed their time there, and it was great as we even, as of this week, begin to get some paint on the walls. And so the process is going great. What we're bringing to you tonight is a prime contract change order for 3 items. The first item is a roof transition wall, which occurs on the canopy above the bus drop-off, and the cost of that is $1,718 and $12. The change order next is for a unit heater, is what the UH stands for. There was a particular difference in the sizing of the heater that was specified for fitting between our ceiling joists, and so adjustment had to be made in the heater that was specified for that, and so that's what that cost difference there is. And then the next change order for 43 is for 83 windows that we had to do some adjustment in the installation of that, which was not in the original scope of work, so that we could have a better finish line and finished product. And that came to about about $27.50 a window, so not terribly expensive. But our total prime contract change order is $5,485.32. And if you want to approve that prior to seeing the full budget, or would you prefer to see the full budget first?
I said, let's see the budget
Yeah.
before we say.
Mr. Sapp? As he's looking for that.
I think it's a PowerPoint.
Those are all policies.
Do you have paper that you could?
I
surprise
can
us?
give that to you verbally.
Yeah,
All
we
right.
can take it, that's fine.
As of August the 22nd, our contingency budget was $244,528.24. If you accept the PCCO as we proposed tonight, it will be a contingency of $239,042.92, with approximately 70% of the project complete at this time.
I'll move that we approve the change
All right.
orders.
Motion by Lori, second by Derek. Any questions, comments? Please vote.
Yes.
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 That's it.
Okay, motion passes.
There you go.
Ah, all right. Yay.
That, you can see the
Double check you for
contingency there, but as
accuracy.
well as the total cost of the project, what is originally anticipated, and the change orders that we've had and how they affect that contingency budget. We feel, and Ryan may
Great.
want to speak to
Keep it
this.
up.
We feel good about the contingency budget coming into this scope of the project.
Yeah, I think if Aaron were here, he would tell you, and I know we've said this with the surprising side a few times, but he would say that we're getting to the point now, we're getting into finishes, and any changes or issues in the field become much reduced at this point in terms of cost. So we're rounding the corner in good shape, so looking forward to that. I would throw, since I didn't get a question too, I wanted to throw out just off the cuff, hearing the stories of Project Lead the Way, especially about Revit and kind of working in teams. Revit is the most powerful architectural software that is used. That's what we use. And seeing kids get the chance to use that at that level, I didn't get a chance to see it until after college. So it's inspiring to see that and exciting to hear. So it's great.
Any thoughts on the drainage potential?
We will probably be bringing a PCCO to you next month for the design. We're finishing up the design and pulling up final numbers for that, for the retaining wall and the drainage associated with that coming off the Mercy property. So we should have that to you for next month so that we can proceed with that, get that up before we start running into. We've been very fortunate for weather, and so we want to be able hopefully to continue that so that we have no delays in the project.
Okay.
What's the target date for completion on this?
July of 2018,
Okay, so what's the actual date?
to be determined. Don't want to let the cat out of the
Probably
bag.
sooner, okay, yeah.
They are running ahead of schedule, as I can tell you, and as you all have been through the building and seeing the progress that they've made. We are determining now, the district and administration are talking with the early childhood folks as to what could be the anticipated move-in time and getting a timeline scheduled for that.
But you're not talking about moving it back?
No, we are not
Okay,
talking
thank
about,
you.
if we move it back, that
Yeah.
contingency may not be enough if we're running into that big an issue. So we are scheduled ahead. That'll be determined as to how much we are ahead of schedule, and we'll set a timeline for move-in.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. All right, next up, Joplin Early Childhood Naming Committee recommendation.
Okay.
Got it.
We're going to have Brad Belt come up and Mindy Sinclair, please. And Brad was nominated as the spokesperson, aptly, for this honor. And just You got a synopsis in your packet about.
Other members of the committee here
Committees.
also.
There are other committee members here, and I was going to go over some of them here as we get through this.
Okay.
You got a synopsis in your packet, and you kind of got an outline of the two meetings that we had. And I want to say a special thanks to J.C. Bird, Crystal Stokes, Mike Seibert, Melissa Talbot, who's here, Mindy Sinclair, Brad Belk, of course, Karen Sue Hensley is here, Marge Lego, Victoria Holmes, and a JHS student, Samantha Student, also participated on the committee. So I'm very, very pleased with their work and the seriousness they took this honor to be on the committee and to really deliberate. Also, I want to highlight Andy Cornelison is back in the audience here. He is Stephanie Stevens' son, Joplin High grad, of course. Was in the band and a lot of other activities. I'm proud to have him back here. And thanks to Jim West, too, for putting, addressing the board. And so you've got some people here that are very interested in this. So, Brad, I'll let you take over.
Well, thank you, and it's a pleasure to speak to you tonight. Actually, I was declared the spokesman. I left early at a meeting and came, found out. So,
That's what happened.
But believe me, it's a pleasure and a great honor. So my job is to enlighten the community on two of Joplin's finest citizens. Speaking for our committee, we feel honored to have been selected to serve the Joplin school system. We have met twice. At our first meeting, we visited the construction site and toured this amazing facility, and it truly is. It's a great thing for Joplin. We all want what is best for the center as well as for the children that will be attending. We have selected two outstanding ladies as possible naming opportunities. Both of them have something in common, their dedication and service to our community. Therefore, we have given these names to you to make the final naming decision, a decision we will fully support. Points to remember, I will present the names in alphabetical order, and each summary varies in length. I'll go quickly. Melissa Fuel Cuther was the true definition of a trailblazer in an African-American community. She was an outstanding, highly respected leader in Southwest Missouri as a teacher, parks founder, board member, singer, and author. Her accomplishments were numerous and varied, each adapted toward empowering people and improving society. Much of her humanitarian efforts occurred in an era when blacks were barred from bathrooms, restaurants, and public schools. Yet she remained determined and persevered. Melissa Fuel was born on May 15, 1886, Warrensburg, Missouri. Since there was not a school for African Americans in her hometown, Fuel had to attend school in Sedalia. After graduating from high school, she enrolled at Lincoln Institute and paid for her education by scrubbing the college's wooden-covered halls on her hands and knees. Today, the school is known as Lincoln University. She graduated second in her class. Cuther spent most of her life striving to improve the educational environment for black children. She taught elementary classes in Joplin at Lincoln School from 1905 to 1912. In 1916, she married Charles William Sunshine Cuther. He became the longtime and highly revered head waiter for the Connor Hotel. For over 50 years, he worked and managed the dining room staff. He was best known for overseeing the private parties and celebrations held at this iconic, storied Joplin institution. The Cuthers, along with other local residents, were responsible for elevating the value of Ewart Park. Through their supportive efforts, the park gained greater significance and was developed into a meeting and recreational place for all African Americans. In 1924, Joplin attorney Paul Ewart and his wife Sidney deeded 14 acres to the city of Joplin for the purpose of creating a park for African Americans. Mr. and Mrs. Ewart donated the park property because at that time, blacks were not welcome within the city park system. Ewart Park became the home to celebration known as the 4th of August celebration. At this annual festive event, a myriad of activities were held in the form of religious services, hay rides, movies, cookouts, carnival rides, booths, fireworks, parades, and decorated floats, band concerts, baseball games, and tennis matches. The evening would culminate with a dance at the pavilion, featuring well-known bands from out of town. This event continues to this day and is known as Emancipation Day. One of Melissa Cuther's lasting accomplishments was the founding of George Washington Carver National Monument at Diamond, Missouri. During the late 1940s, Cuther directed Carver Day celebrations in Joplin. She shared her director's role with the Tuskegee alumnus Thelma Meeks and a biracial group of educators, religious leaders, government officials, and the Joplin Chamber of Commerce. This annual January event celebrated Carver's achievements. Although the month has changed, this event is still celebrated today in Diamond, Missouri. Following the death of Carver in 1943, Richard Hyland and Cuther began a crusade to recognize the importance of Carver and his achievements. They remained steadfast in preserving his homestead. Cuther composed passionate, compelling letters to Washington, D.C. legislators explaining the importance of Carver and the need to preserve his legacy. Highland and Cuther were successful in their efforts as the George Washington Carver National Monument was dedicated in 1953. This nationally registered site became a model to emulate as the first site honoring an African American, an American scientist, and the first national site to commemorate someone other than a former United States president. One of Cuther's greatest gifts to our community was establishing the Carver Nursery School in Ewart Park. In 1951, for the first time, black children were offered a preschool opportunity. Cuther showed great patience as it took over a decade to get a preschool established. During the first 10 years, the Carver Nursery School cared for more than 600 children. Cuther served on the Lincoln University Board of Directors. She played a significant role in petitioning the state legislatures and Governor of Missouri to provide appropriations for building Yates Hall on the campus of Lincoln University at Jefferson City. African American veterans from the American Civil War created Lincoln Institute in 1866. The purpose of the school was to provide a teaching academy for black teachers to go back to their community to teach in the segregated school system. Several instructors who taught at Lincoln School in Joplin were graduates of Lincoln University, and some Lincoln High graduates attended Lincoln University. Under the Morrill Act of 1890, the state of Missouri designated the school as a land-grant university, emphasizing agriculture, mechanics, and teaching. Through her encouragement, black children for the first time were allowed to participate in Joplin's annual Christmas parade. In 1946, she organized the first African-American Girl Scout troop here. In addition, Cuther was instrumental in establishing the Ewart Park Little League baseball program. Also a woman of culture and talent, Cuther was a noted author and an accomplished singer. She joined the Blind Boone Concert Company as a singer and worked as the company's secretary. While touring, she wrote a biography of John Blind Boone in 1915. Titled Blind Boone, His Life and Achievements, the book portrays the harrowing journey of Boone during the Jim Crow era. This was considered a groundbreaking achievement as she became the first African-American author to write about the life of a black musician. As a member of Boone's concert company, Cuther provided firsthand knowledge of Boone's early years, his career touring across the segregated America, and his relationship with John Lang, who many of the time considered the best entertainment manager, black or white, in the United States. In the 2 editions of this insightful biography were published during her lifetime, one in 1915 and another in 1918. In 1918 edition, she used a hyphen to separate her maiden name from her married name. Cuther was a member of the Trinity Methodist Church, the Order of the Eastern Star, the Women's Society of Christian Service, and the Herons of Jericho Lodge. Cuther's humanitarian deeds are explanatory and extraordinary, considering the difficult obstacles she navigated in a segregated world. As a woman, she accomplished things unimagined in the era in which she lived. There are so many beautiful opportunities to help make the world a better place in which to live, Cuther said shortly before her death. This extremely strong, resourceful lady, full of moral integrity, certainly put her words into action and remains a role model and an inspiration to follow. Stephanie Stevens, the first director of the Early Childhood Special Education Program in Joplin. Stephanie Stevens was born on November 2nd, 1958 in Brookfield, Missouri. She began her career with the Joplin school system in August of 1989. During her first year, she taught kindergarten at the former Irving School. She had a passion for early childhood development and dreamed of an establishing center. In a short time, Stevens joined a team that pursued her vision and became the vocal leader of this movement. She was one of the first teachers hired for the early childhood developmentally delayed classroom. Excelling in her field, she was elevated to the director's position of the Early Childhood Special Education Program. This was a position she proudly held until her death in 2006. Stevens was a tireless, dedicated servant to her program, spending countless hours going way beyond the typical 9-to-5 scenario. Her director's role was not only her career, but was her life's goal, enhancing the quality of life for little ones, preparing them for school. She believed that education was for all children, no matter their social, cultural, or economic background. Stevens was well respected and loved by her fellow coworkers. She inspired her colleagues with her compassion and work ethic. Stevens practiced the teaching code of honor by always putting her students' needs first and foremost. She was a well-known advocate of that principle, and thus justly received and earned the respect of parents, teachers, and school administrators. For a time, she was employed as the principal of Washington Education Center for the then Joplin R8 School District. In 1999, Stevens ran the summer school career program. She established the Great Expectations program, and her school was named as a model for the state of Missouri. Throughout her tenure, she oversaw the Parents Teachers program. In addition, Stevens was highly involved with the Joplin High School Band program, serving as an executive board member for the Joplin High School Band Booster Club. She often traveled long distances in support of the students. She also found time to utilize her talents at both North and South Head Start centers. Stevens was highly involved with the development of the St. Paul's UMC preschool activities before preschool became a part of the public education system. Her passion spilled over into an art form as she painted the classrooms at that original church facility. Stevens was a graduate of Brookfield High School, received her bachelor's degree from Missouri State University, and her master's from the University of Northern Iowa. Her thirst of knowledge, always pursuing education and wanting to improve her educational resume, she was working on her doctorate from the University of Missouri. Stevens was a member of the Girl Scouts, the International Order of Rainbows, and was the representative to Georgia from the state of Missouri. She was a member of the Grand Cross for Color and served as a worthy advisor of the Brookfield Assembly, serving as the Grand Secretary. Stevens was an active member of the St. Paul's United Methodist Church and a leader with the Autism Task Force. Stephanie Stevens passed on March 18, 2006. She has survived, as we stated today, and we're so pleased that Andy's with us. Stevens' legacy continues today, culminating in this new Children's Development Center. One can only imagine the joy she would have expressed in finally reaching the top of the mountain. Her dream is finally being realized. It seems fitting that we would recognize and honor this pioneer in education and the first director of Joplin's preschool program. I have one other thing I'd like to share. Being the community historian for some time, I have had a wonderful access to the great photos of the museum. And we have some files on the early school development. And I always take pride in looking at those great school pictures of the kids in a very uniform, straightforward way, and the teacher either on the side or behind. And you notice immediately that it's a woman. And the reason is because there were so very few occupations for women to have offered to them. And so they obviously were driven to that, and they excelled. And I would question today, where would we be without our women teachers, because I think the classrooms would be very empty. We move fast forward to my great experience at Irving School in the 1960s, and I had 6 of the greatest teachers, young ladies. I don't know if they were young, but they seemed young to me at the time, and they were great inspiration and wonderful to me. And then we fast forward to the 1987 when I took over the job at the museum. And last year I gave 1,200 kids tours or lectures about Joplin's history. 700 of them were from the third graders from the Joplin School. And there is always, or at least there's usually one male teacher, but the rest of them are all in the trenches. They're women that are leading the students. The interesting thing, I went to Barbara Garrett's funeral service last week. Barbara Garrett was a great friend of the museum. Barbara Garrett taught first grade for many years. I was standing in line at the reception, and there was a gentleman in front of me, a young gentleman. He was 35, 40 years old. And he met Barbara's son, and he said something to her that really resonated with me. And he said that he hadn't obviously talked to Mrs. Garrett for a long time, but he felt compelled to be there because he saw her death notice in the paper. And he wanted to tell them that how special of a lady she was. And I think the money quote was that she made a difference. She made a difference in his life. She made a difference in his life. And, you know, I think of Mrs. Roby, my first grade teacher. She made a difference in my life. So I think it's just wonderful that we are recognizing these fabulous ladies. And my hat's off to you, and it's been a pleasure to speak to you tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. So, any questions of the committee spokesman? No?
I
Okay.
want to thank the committee.
Yeah, thank you guys. And, those that weren't here. I think it's always challenging, and when you've got great people to select from as candidates for this honor, that makes it even more difficult, because you don't want to ever say we're ranking them, and it's like ranking things of a completely different nature. So I'll open it up for discussion before we come to a motion. I don't know how everybody feels, unless somebody's got a motion they want to make to.
Well, as a first grade student of Barbara Garrett, I will tell you that she was fantastic.
How about that?
And I was hoping that our committee would offer a specific recommendation that I could merely accept. And I see that that's not going to be, you're not going to make it so easy for us. I read here that there was a strong sentiment by the committee members to keep the name Joplin Early Childhood Center on the outside of the building and be the prevailing reference, which begs the question, what opportunities are inside the building for naming opportunities?
Well, we did discuss that, and we decided that the administrative childhood services in the very front end of the building, we recommended that Melissa Fuel-Cuther would be the name there, and in the Learning Grove, we felt that Stephanie Stevens would be perfect fit there.
I think
Thank
that's
you.
actually a good way to honor both of them.
And we saw some of those areas when we toured as well.
Sure.
I wasn't there.
Wasn't able to make the
I
tour,
wasn't
and
there.
Derek wasn't
Couldn't
either.
make that meeting.
Can you point out, the administrative part is
Right there.
in that area?
Yes, that's it,
And then the Learning Grove,
right about there.
okay.
Having-
It's on the backside?
It was all open.
Yeah.
Where
so
that
windows.
roof line goes up.
But having known Stephanie and working with her personally, when I walked into that Learning Grove area, I thought to myself, this would be a perfect place to name after Stephanie and maybe include a quote or something on the wall. I think she would be very, very
Yeah.
pleased with that.
I mean,
That
It
would
would fit
be-
her.
yeah, well, and there was also the quote from Mrs. Cuther, and that
And there
seems.
was a quote in there from, about Stephanie in one of the letters. We'd received many letters in support
Yeah.
of both ladies, and so that makes it a very difficult decision.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if we could honor both of them
Yeah.
with a very nice plaque or something, right,
Mhm.
as you come in, so it's noticed.
And we have
You know,
to
so
mount it
people-
to the, building, then it comes out of the contingency fund? Because it's not mobile?
That's what I understand, Ryan.
Okay,
Right?
all right,
then
Well, they're
let's do
both very
something
deserving. We
nice.
need to honor both of them in
I
some
think
way.
Okay.
both of them are as well.
Mhm.
all right. So well, does somebody want to put that in the form of a motion?
I will put that in the motion.
Okay.
To accept both names to be used inside the early childhood.
Do you want to specify the front,
To
the,
go along with the
Yeah,
recommendation.
the
yes,
recommendation?
Seth Cuther
Okay.
at, the administrative side, and then Stephanie at the
at the Learning Grove?
Learning Grove.
All right, so that's the motion by Derek, second by Jennifer. Discussion? Please vote.
Yes.
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 Yes, okay, that motion passes. Thank you, everybody that,
Thank you, everybody.
that shared. We got numerous emails, I'm sure you guys did too. There's a lot of people that care about our community, and that's awesome. Next, accounts payable.
Again, you've received all the information relative to the accounts payable that have transpired since the last board meeting. And everything appears to be in order, as I sort of indicated to you on the financial report. Be glad to answer any specific questions you might have.
All right,
I'll move we approve accounts payable as presented.
motion by Jennifer,
I'll second that.
second by Derek. Please vote.
Yes.
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 Abstain.
Yes, that motion passes. Thank you. Next up,
We'd provided some information concerning about the potential to accrue some savings to the taxpayers by refinancing some bonds that were issued in 2012, 2013. And there were some of those, I've noticed that some area schools are looking at some bond refinancing. The folks that take care of the bonds are always on top of this, know what the rates are, and have a better feel for the trend. There were some 5% bonds that were issued. And so all of the bonds that were issued for the major reconstruction, the massive reconstruction, are not involved in this, but it's the part that has the 5% amount. And it is believed that they can refinance those at about 3%. So over the life of that 23 million, I believe that's in there, you would be saving potentially net savings of about $2.8 million. And, you know, it's one of those things, they're not callable for 10 years, so you actually have to set this fund up. And, you know, I've done this various times in the past, and so have you. And then there will, when the call date comes, and it's usually a 10-year call period, so when it gets 10 years, well, you'll have the money there to pay those, and the savings will be accrued in the last 10 years of that. So all this action is really giving your approval for us to work with the bond advisor that we have a contract with, George K. Baum, to work through this process, and then hopefully somewhere at the end of November, 1st of December, maybe have this down.
Okay.
You know, no one knows what's going to happen on the interest rate. A year ago, it was being predicted it probably would be going up more quickly than it is, but still the best judgment is that it will not be in our best interest to wait 4 years and do that. So,
These are fixed rates, not adjustable, right?
well, you sell the bonds at the rate, so all of those, they put those bond schedules, and so you have a block of money that will call the bonds that have 10 years of life. You pay those off, and then these all have maturity bond rates, yes, so it's not.
There's
you know,
no,
right,
once
a
it's the
fixed
date,
rate.
it's fixed.
Right, right. The purchaser buys them knowing this is what the yield's going to be.
Well, thank you, Dr. Langford. I would move that we authorize the resolution submitted by Gilmore and Bell Bond Council, which contains the steps necessary to issue a new series of general obligation school refunding bonds.
A second.
All right, motion by Sherrick, second by Jennifer. Please vote.
Yes.
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 Yes, that motion passes. Thank you, Dr. Langford. Keep it up.
I would like to take the credit for this, but this is their job. And, you know, this is, really goes to the people who works on behalf of the school district through contractual arrangement. And, you know, we can watch the cash flow of what happens on a day-to-day basis, but really monitoring the number of bonds we have out, it takes people that really, this is their job.
Yep. Yep. Thank you for sharing it, and keep looking for those savings. Next up, policy updates for the first reading.
Thank you.
I'll move, we approve
Yeah, we have the policy.
6A through H.
I'll second that.
All right. So motion by Jennifer, second by Sherrick. Any discussion? Please vote.
Yes.
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 Yes, that motion passes. Okay, thank you. Next up, pluses and deltas. All right, we're at the end of the meeting, so that's a plus. Hour and 20. Anything to add?
I think we heard some great things going on in our school district tonight.
No?
Things to be very proud of.
Well,
And
and
we
it was
honored a
exciting
couple
to
of
me.
special ladies. And
Yep.
And it was exciting to me to hear the project lead the way and to hear from our students
You bet.
and their perspective, and then to have that directly tie into a career that is affecting our district so strongly right now with,
Hollis Miller, yep.
you know, I watched them as they talked about Rivet and certain things, and I could see in the audience, they were kind of perking up.
Yeah,
"Oh,
yeah.
wow." And
That's,
so
my
that
son
was
wants
nice
to be
to
an
see.
engineer,
Yep.
so it's awesome to.
Well,
see
let's
what-
grow
few
our
more
own, as
years
they
I'll
say.
be-
Very
they get a
nice.
leg up, and I'm going to need a good doctor in a few years.
My daughter's in the program, the biomed side,
Okay.
and she's never been this excited about education in her entire life, so
That's
it's
awesome.
That's the main
been a
thing,
blessing for
listen
her.
Yeah, yeah.
How excited they are to learn. You said it, it's fun to learn. I'm like.
She did 5 hours of research this weekend, not for homework, just on her career.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right, anything we need to do differently? We did talk about
Don't
if
wanna
there's
beat a dead
finance,
horse,
no,
but
if there's
if
finance
we-
things, talk with the finance committee. If there's policy
We need
things,
to
talk to
use
the
the
policy
committees.
committee.
It's just, that's why we changed that form to add the voice of
Mhm.
who has input. We've really
Yep.
tried to include everyone, so.
And I made a note of that, even though it's the same provider and whatnot. We'll go back and revisit that with the
And as
committee.
things
Well,
like
because
that
there
come up.
may be issues that people have heard or that the committee brings that we don't know about. Maybe that's not the best provider. I mean, maybe there are issues with them. I'm not saying there are, I'm just saying that that's kind of where that input comes from, and I find that valuable. So we try to listen to everyone,
Yep.
so.
And Jennifer, we got new pens.
I know.
Yeah. All right, any board announcements? All right, last one, a motion to adjourn?
I was second.
Bingo.
Okay, all right, so I guess I made that, and Derek seconded, please vote.
Yes.
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 Yes, that motion passes, we're adjourned. Thank you.